نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم والفرقان الحميد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: لا صلاة إلا بفاتحة الكتاب، أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. وقال جل وعلا في مقام آخر: فاقرأوا ما تيسر من القرآن. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم، ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ربنا يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح. ربي زدني علما. اللهم صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. My dear respected brothers and sisters, we continue inshallah with the topic of Salaah fil Jama'ah, Salaah bil Jama'ah, Salah in congregation. And we have mentioned so far many rulings with regards to Salah in Jama'ah. And today we continue with some of those rulings, my dear respected brothers and sisters. They were numerous, and alhamdulillah, we have tried to explain how we as believers ought to perform our salah in Jama'ah. We began by mentioning the emphasis Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam laid upon salah in Jama'ah, and then we started to mention about the rules of salah in Jama'ah. We continue from where we left off in the last day's session. And a person who is performing salah in Jama'ah, it is allowed for a person who is leading the salah, he can be in a state of tayammum, and those people who are following him, they are in the state of wudu. It is permissible for the person performing salah with wudu, he can follow a person performing salah with valid tayammum, right? With valid tayammum. And Mufti Shabil alayhi rahmah mentions valid tayammum, which is a very important point that we keep emphasizing upon. That is valid according to the Sharia. Not that a person comes into the masjid and they feel a bit of chill. They think that, you know what, I think I'm coming down with the cold, so therefore they will not go in water and they make tayammum. That's not a valid reason for tayammum. So therefore, when Mufti Shabil alayhi rahmah mentions it's permissible for the person performing salah with wudu, that they can follow a person performing salah with valid tayammum, it means just this, that the tayammum that the person has made, it was out of a valid reason. Really and truly, the person cannot go in water, or the person was in such a situation whereby they could not find water. But in this scenario, to be a little more realistic, whereby other people are in the state of wudu, it means that the person was, for example, so sick that they could not make wudu, but they could have made tayammum. Now remember, my dear respected brothers and sisters, with regards to tayammum, it is a means of purification just as wudu. When we make our wudu, we do not see anything falling off. We do not see anything falling off, but we know we are washing the limbs. And everyone knows that, mashallah, water has probably the greatest effect with regards to removal of impurities, other than the chemicals which will also have water, right? But speaking about with regards to what our minds can adapt to, when we use water, we understand that something will be removed. And we mentioned about ghusl and wudu with water. But in the absence of water, or because of a valid shari'i reason, we make tayammum. Two people standing up side by side. One has made wudu. One has made tayammum and put another person. One has taken ghusl for janaba. Everybody there is clean according to the Sharia with regards to the removal of invisible impurities. With regards to the removal of invisible impurities. So, and tayammum, subhanallah, it comes from the Holy Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you do not find water, you make tayammum. So therefore, that itself will purify the individual. That person who is performing salah with tayammum, he is leading the salah, he can lead those people who have taken ghusl, or those people who are in the state of wudu. And valid tayammum also has that indication of, it means that the person's tayammum didn't break. It is permissible for him to make tayammum, but his tayammum did not break by the presence of water or by the sickness being removed, etc. So this is another interpretation of valid tayammum. A person who washed his feet while doing wudu can follow a person who made masa over his socks while performing wudu. A person washed his feet while making wudu. Allah says that in the Quran, He mentions the four limbs, wash the face, wash the hands, make masa on the head and wash the feet. And if the ayat of the Holy Quran with regards to wamsahu bi ru'usikum wa arjulakum, or if it is with wa arjulikum, right? According to the Mufassirun, if it is recited with those two qiraat, both of them can facilitate wiping and washing. When a person has socks on, wiping when a person has socks on, leather socks, or those jurabain which is permissible to make masa upon. So it has been mentioned here, my dear respected brothers and sisters, a person, they are making wudu, they have washed their feet. Another person, he had on the socks, so he made masa upon his leather socks. Is it permissible for the one who made masa upon the leather socks to lead the salah? Yes, it is. Because again, when you put two of them side by side, when you weigh it out with regards to both of them, isn't that one is more clean than the other? No. Both of them have removed the ritual impurities from themselves. As a matter of fact, even in the books of fiqh it mentions that when a person actually makes masa on the top of the sock, a person makes masa on the top of the socks, that is actually the cleansing of the impurities, and the impurities will be uplifted from the impurities will be removed from the foot by means of the wiping. So both of them, the one who has made masa upon his sock at the end of his wudu, and the one who has washed his feet at the end of his wudu, both of them are in the state of purity, and so to say equal purity, that either of them can lead the salah, the one who has washed his feet or the one who has wiped upon his feet. A person performing salah standing can follow a person performing salah sitting with valid excuse doing ruku and sujood. A person performing salah standing can follow a person performing salah sitting with a valid excuse, and that person who is sitting, he will be doing his ruku and sujood. Another one before we explain, inshallah. A person performing salah by signs can follow a person performing salah by signs in a similar manner. A few things are being mentioned here, my dear respected brothers and sisters. And it comes firstly from the traditions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know in Marad al-Maut, we explained that the Marad al-Maut, the sickness wherein Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, sometimes he could not even come out for the Salah in Jama'ah. In one instance, he came out for Salah in Jama'ah. And he went beside Hadar Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And he led the Salah and he was sitting down. And this is the dalil for why this law is mentioned here, that a person performing Salah standing can follow a person performing Salah sitting, doing ruku and sujood. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it. He led Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Of course, there are different ahadith. And there were different salawat that Abu Bakr led and the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam led Abu Bakr. And at times Abu Bakr led Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the commentators have mentioned there are different ahadith. But what is understood from here, my dear respected brothers and sisters, is that it is permissible for the one who is sitting to lead the salah. Now when we speak about sitting, we must understand sitting here means a person is doing ruku, bowing, Sami Allahu liman hamida, Allahu Akbar, going down into sajda. That is actually performing the actual prostration and bowing of the salah. Bowing is tilting. Prostration is placing the head on the ground. Remember when we did the chapter of the conditions of salah, and we dealt with the compulsory elements of salah. We mentioned about sajda, where a person has how much of the face has to touch the ground in order for the sajda to be correct. Now there's a difference between the face touching the ground and the face not touching the ground, because the person who is not performing ruku and sajda on the ground, if they are performing it by making indications in the air, that is known as Salah bil Ishara. That is known as Salah bil Ishara. And that is not considered like a person who is actually touching the ground with his face. Simply, my dear respected brothers and sisters, as how we know we perform Salah in the sitting posture for Nafil Salah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said a person who performs Salah sitting will get half of the reward of a person performing Salah standing. Words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, it means that we are sitting without a valid excuse. And this sitting, the fuqaha have stated that ruku will be to such an extent whereby we bow down a good bit. Sami Allahu liman hamida. And like the head will come down to the knees, parallel to the knees. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Then we will go down in sajda and actually touch the ground. This is how we will perform salah sitting, as opposed to perform salah standing. Both of them are considered as performing salah in a healthy, strong state. When a person is not healthy and strong, and for some valid reason, according to the Sharia, they cannot go down in sajda, now they are allowed to perform salah by indication. They are allowed to perform salah by indication, which means that they are going to go bend for ruku, Sami Allahu liman hamida, and they will bend lower for sajda, and your head will not be touching the ground. That is salah bil ishara. So what has been said here, my dear respected brothers and sisters, not the imam cannot be the one who is leading salah by performance of salah with indication. He can be sitting but making ruku by bowing, Sami Allahu liman hamida, and actually touching the ground in sajda. Right? I hope we understand that point, inshallah. He can be the one who is leading a person who is performing salah standing. A person who is performing salah standing. On the contrary, you cannot have a person who is performing salah by indication, right? You cannot have the imam performing salah by indication and the person behind is performing salah by touching the ground for sajda. So once again, a person performing salah standing can follow a person performing salah sitting with a valid excuse, doing ruku and sujood. The one who is sitting, the imam, he is doing ruku and sujood. The one who is behind him, he is standing and he will do ruku and sujood as normal. The next masala on this point is that a person performing salah by signs can follow a person performing salah by a sign in a similar manner. According to the Hanafi jurist, that masla is deduced with regards to a person who is in a stronger state. They cannot be led by a person who is in a weaker state. The person who is leading must be in a stronger state. And we have explained some of those rulings in the last session and the previous sessions. Right? So, if a person is performing salah by signs, not touching the ground for sajda, it means his salah is of a weaker nature, a weaker state, as opposed to a person performing salah properly, a stronger state. So the one who is performing salah in a weak state, what is being said here, he can lead other people who is in a weak state. Other people, they are in a weak state, like himself, performing salah by indication. All of them can perform salah by indication. The imam, he will be leading by indication. They will also follow by indication. No problem with that. But you cannot have the imam leading by indication with ruku and sajda, and the follower is performing salah, making ruku and sujood. Why? Because the follower's salah will be stronger than that of the imam's salah. And that is not permissible here, based upon the evidences that the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam has given. For example, al-imamu dhaminun. The imam is responsible. The imam is responsible, and his salah must be higher than that of the follower's salah, as we have mentioned before and explained. And again, the dalil for that, what we see is from the marad al-maut of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It was not a normal thing that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam would have led the community sitting down and everybody else was standing up. No, he did say the salah of the person sitting is half of the reward of the person standing. So we even understand from that hadith, it wasn't the norm of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. However, if the need came about, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam did it, like in his marad al-maut, the sickness whereby he passed away. A person performing nafil salah can follow a person performing farz salah, and we explain that. Right? We explained that in detail last day with regards to the person who is performing nafil salah. He can follow a person performing farz salah, but it cannot be vice versa. The person performing farz salah cannot follow the imam who is performing nafil salah. If the salah of the imam becomes invalid, then the salah of the community will also become invalid. If the salah of the imam becomes null and void, then it will be compulsory on everyone to repeat their salah, the imam as well as the muqtadi. It is binding upon the imam to the best of his ability to inform those who followed him in salah, which he after realized was null and void, to repeat the salah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said, Man amma qawman thumma dhahara annahu kana muhdithan aw junuban a'ada salatahu wa a'adu. Whosoever leads a community, then it becomes apparent to him that he has been in a state of minor ritual impurity or major ritual impurity, then let him go and repeat his salah. There are different traditions on this topic, my dear respected brothers and sisters, even from amongst the athar of some of the sahabas and the aqwal of some of the sahabas. It has been narrated from that Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he led the salah with the people and he was in a state of janaba. So he repeated the salah and he commanded the people that they repeat their salah. And Imam Darul, he has also done takhrij that Hadha Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he performed salah with a group of people, he led the people in salah, he was in a state of janaba. He repeated the salah and he commanded them to repeat the salah. So we see from this, my dear respected brothers and sisters, if a person, they are following someone in salah, the imam salah, we have mentioned before that al-imamu dhaminun, the imam is responsible. Now, there is an ikhtilaf that amongst some of the other scholars whereby Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayhi may have a different opinion based upon the fact that he is of the opinion when we perform salah, it is alat tawafuq. All of us are performing salah, then all we need is to be doing the same thing. But if the imam's salah may be invalid, according to him, it may not be that the salah of the community is invalid. But the opinion of the Hanafi jurists is that if the salah of the imam is invalid, then the imam will have to repeat his salah, but not only the imam, the followers will also have to repeat the salah. And this is what we see here, my dear respected brothers and sisters. And that comes from the statements of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It also comes from the actions of the Sahaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'een. So, if the Imam's salah is not valid, he will also now, to the best of his ability, inform those who had followed him in salah, which he after realized was null and void, to repeat their salah. So sometimes we are human beings, my dear respected brothers and sisters, and mistakes happen. Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam once, he came to perform the salah and everyone stood up, lines were formed, and then he told everyone to wait. He went and took ghusl and then came back and performed the salah, because he came for salah in such a manner he forgot he was in a state of janaba. But the Sahaba saw his hair wet and so on. So therefore, it caused them to be aware, and of course Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam would have informed them with regards to his state and why he would have done something like that. So, of course, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam did not lead them. The hadith did not say that he led them in that position, right? But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, it mentions he left them, went and performed ghusl, came back and then led the salah. So mistakes do happen. Mistakes do happen. Sometimes, a person honestly thought that they had wudu, There's a different masla, my dear respected brothers and sisters, with regards to al-yaqinu la yazulu bi-shak. Al-yaqinu la yazulu bi-shak. That's a principle, right? In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna dhanna la yughni min al-haqqi shay'a. Right? Doubt will not have anything to, will not be able to overpower that which is truth and that which is firm. So the Hanafi jurists have come upon this principle, al-yaqinu la yazulu bi-shak. Yaqeen, we are certain about something that will not be removed by doubt. So how this qa'idah and principle is explained is that if as long as we knew we had wudu, then we are in a state of wudu, inshallah. We should not allow doubts to cause us to break that wudu or think that we have to go back and make wudu. If we knew we made wudu and now waswasa comes, then we are upon wudu, inshallah. Al-yaqinu la yazul bi-shak. Right? Al-yaqinu la yazul bi-shak. I knew when I was home I made wudu. So therefore, do not allow any doubt. Did I make wudu? Did I not make wudu? Or probably I broke my wudu. We should not allow doubt to cause us cause that to delve in our salah, and now we have a lot of waswasa ma'adallah. Right? But this is a different thing with regards to, as we are saying, sometimes a mistake happens. Right? We were rushing, we thought we made wudu, and lo and behold, we really did not make wudu. Or we were waiting there, and we knew that we said that, you know what, it is our habit to make wudu at home, and we were waiting. But perhaps one of our children was using the bathroom or something at that time, or the sink, and it's our norm, we will make our wudu at home. So then when we came to the masjid, we thought that we were in wudu, we forgot. We came, we led the salah. Then what must we do? We must inform, if we did not have wudu, to the best of our ability, we must inform the community that they will have to perform over their salah. Because if the imam does not have salah, then the community does not have salah. In order that the imam's salah be valid, according to the Hanafi jurists, according to the Hanafi jurists, in order that the follower's salah be valid, the imam's salah must be valid. La tuqbalu salatun bi ghayri tuhurin. Salah will not be accepted without purification. So if our imam, and he is responsible, and we have mentioned other ahadith of this nature also, man kana lahu imam, fa qira'atul imam lahu qira'atun. Whosoever has an imam, the qira'at of the imam is sufficient for him. This is why the Hanafis, we do not recite Quran behind the imam. This is words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All this goes to show, my dear respected brothers and sisters, the position of the imam, the power of the imam, the strength of the imam, the reliability of the followers upon the imam. Al-imamu dhaminun. This is one of the interpretations of what is the imam is dhamin. What is meant by, what does the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam meant by that? What did he mean by that? Sorry. If he said al-imamu dhaminun, there must be a reason why he said that. And this is where the interpretations of the Imam Mujtahideen with regards to bringing other hadith and putting it there now and deducing what does al-imamu dhaminun mean, the imam is responsible. And one of the interpretations, my dear respected brothers and sisters, is that the imam is responsible as long as his salah is valid, everyone's salah is valid. If his salah is invalid, then everybody else's salah is invalid. Right? And this is why, of course, according to the Sharia also, there are all these laws about istikhlaf and bringing up somebody to continue the salah if we break our wudu unintentionally in the duration of the salah and so on. Why? Simply because if the imam continue with his salah, then nobody will have salah. That is why there is istikhlaf and so on. According to the Sharia, pulling up somebody and let them be the imam, continue as the imam, and then this person will go and make wudu and so on. So, again, the person who is the follower, his salah is dependent upon the validity of the imam's salah. If the Imam's salah is not valid, the salah of the follower will not be valid. And even if it was realized afterwards it was realized, and many a times this happens with people who are dealing with glue or paint or something of this nature that blocks the water from actually touching the portion of the skin that is essential to washing wudu, right? So let's take a typical example with, like, the PVC glue. Many times and that's why it is advisable, we are doing that, we put on a glove or something, right? Because when that comes upon the skin, it is very difficult to take it out, except with chemical, pitch oil, all these different things, thinners and so on, right? If painters and people who are in this field, they will use different types of techniques of rubbing oil on their skin before they get into that, right? But nevertheless, the point that we are concerned about is that if anybody, painter, whatever have you, or non-painter, has to make wudu, what is essential? Water must touch the parts of the body that is essential to touch while we are making wudu. So sometimes the person performed salah on their own, or let's take for example, the person led the salah, and then now were to realize afterwards that, under my foot, I really didn't check properly, and there's a big map under my foot of the glue. Now what would happen there is that if we were not in a state of wudu before, it means that we made wudu for the particular salah and water did not touch that place. How do we know? Because glue does not allow any water to penetrate. How do we know that? Of course, it's because that is the nature of the glue. If that was not the nature of the glue, then there will be no purpose of sticking the PVC pipes together. Otherwise, it will just come out. So the glue causes it to stick. The water does not seep through, right? So the water does not seep through that, and therefore we will understand that we have no wudu. So the person came, they led the salah. Afterwards, they went home. They put their foot on their couch, and the wife or the child saw, Dad, what's that under your feet? And he said, what do you mean under my feet? My foot is clean. And then he looks underneath and he sees that there is some type of glue. He takes it off. Oh, I led salah, right? Or I perform my Maghrib salah in this manner. I have to repeat my salah. If he was alone, or if he was a follower, if he was an imam of salah, he has to try, make an announcement in the masjid. Brothers, please repeat your salah, right? Because there was a mistake. I did not have wudu, or I thought I had wudu, but then realized that something was wrong which prevented or hindered my wudu. So the imam will repeat his salah, the followers will also repeat their salah. In the case of one follower, he should stand to the right side of the imam, and in the case of more than one follower, they should stand together behind the imam. And we mentioned a bit about this, my dear respected brothers and sisters. If a person is performing salah with one individual, he will perform salah with that individual being on his right hand side. And Hadha Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he was performing salah with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam placed him on the right side. And if it is only one follower, that one follower will not be behind the imam, but he will be on the right side. He will be on the right side. If it is more than one follower, then the imam will go ahead and the followers will be behind, because of the tradition of Hadha Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam, he led the salah and he went ahead, and Anas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu and the yatim, a young boy, was performing salah behind Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was ahead, and Anas and this young boy was behind. They did not stand up side by side to Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. One to the right and one to the left. Nabi alayhi salatu wasallam was ahead, and the two of them, the two Sahabas, were behind Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. the imamat of a violator of the Sharia or an innovator is abominable, makruhun tahriman. Now we are coming up to 2 points here. With regards to the imam of the salah, it is highly recommendable that the imam be a knowledgeable person in the Sharia and the recitation of the Holy Quran and a high state of piety. We have basically mentioned some of these already. We will reiterate them inshallah. First and foremost, the imam of the salah is the person who is going to lead everybody's salah. His qiraat is going to be valid for everybody else's qiraat. We want to put a person there who led the salah in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. If he allowed anybody else to lead, alhamdulillah, no problem. And he did that. Those who were the khalifas, they would lead the salah. When they allowed someone else to lead the salah, then somebody else would lead the salah. But they would appoint people who were suitable. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam allowed Hadha Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu to lead the people in salah, it was because Hadha Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was capable. And this is what the Muslim communities must understand when they are putting someone as their imam. The imam must be somebody who is capable. The imam should be someone of a knowledgeable state. They know the laws of the Sharia. They know things that will break the salah, will not break the salah. They know about the rules of tajweed, so that they do not make grave mistakes in the Holy Quran that could cause other people's salah to become nullified, according to some of the scholars. And of course, salah is not just a routine, it is an act of ibadat. And we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our ibadat. So therefore, the person who is understood to be a very pious person, they should be leading the salah. And then we come back to the one that we said before. The imam of a violator of the Sharia or an innovator is abominable, makruhun tahriman. When people involve themselves in bid'ah, when people involve themselves in wrong things, we know that they are doing wrong things and they do not want to stop. People have spoken to them, they do not want to make tawbah from that. Or they may be doing things in deen which are considered to be bid'ah. Then to put these people to lead the salah is makruhun tahriman, very reprehensible. And those people who put them to lead the salah, they will be held accountable. Those people who place such people as their imam, they will also be accountable. Now, with regards to reasons as to why one will be absolved from attending salah in Jama'ah, the scholars have deduced because of heavy rain, severe coldness, all this, some of it Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned. We mentioned some of them before also. Due to rain, heavy rain, downpour of rain, we are warned about hurricanes, we are warned about going outside because of the heavy winds. Galvanized can be blowing, our heads can be chopped off, we can be chopped in half, ma'adallah, right? All different kind of harms can come upon an individual. Fear, right? Probably there is chaos in the place, a lot of fitna, a lot of robberies, right? Not the general thing, right? As long as, mashallah, we have some safety, right? Generally speaking, crime is increasing in the entire world, right? But there should be some, as long as there is some type of safety, then we can go. If there is some type of fear, right, then to protect our lives, we can stay away from salah in Jama'ah. Severe darkness, and we explained some of this before, as we said, my dear respected brothers and sisters, severe darkness in this day and age of lighting systems and so on, this would be highly unlikely, but yet again, it can happen. And if it does happen, a person will have the reason of not attending salah in congregation. Blindness, a person who is blind, they need people to assist them, people to guide them. And if in the absence of it, they can be harmed severely. Then you have a person being lame or crippled, or a person being without a leg, sickness, many different types of sicknesses, or the person without the leg, the person who is crippled, it can cause them severe harm if they were to come to the masjid and no one will be there to help them. Muddy streets after the rain, these are what has been deduced from the time of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, based upon rain and so on in those parts of the world, right? Nowadays, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of concrete streets, pitch streets, right? We have concrete pavements and so on, right? Different countries, different islands, they also have concrete roads, right? So we don't have that problem, generally speaking. Again, if a person is living in such a state whereby that will be an issue, of course, the leeway will be there to abstain from the salah in Jama'ah, or for them not to allow attend the salah in Jama'ah. Weakness from old age, a person is very, very feeble, quail, right? And they cannot go for salah in Jama'ah, then it would be a reason for them not to attend the salah in Jama'ah because they are too old, right? Or attending after a sick person who, if left unattended, will suffer more. Attending to a sick person, if unattended, they will suffer more. And of course, Islam is a mutawassit religion, whereby it's very moderate. You know, we are taking care of someone. If we leave, right, they can strangle themselves, or the cord of the machine, it could just, you know, they can actually take that, strangle themselves, or they could suffocate because the oxygen will run out, and we have to be there to monitor it. If we are not there, somebody else has to be there. Then, of course, it is a need and necessity, right? It is a need and necessity. So if a person, they are attending a sick person, if they leave that sick person, something very detrimental can happen to that individual, then of course they should not leave them unattended. This sick person, as we said, moderate, my dear respected brothers and sisters, does not mean someone who we can give 2 multi-symptoms and you know they are resting there comfortably and alhamdulillah, we lock up the doors and we leave and we will come back. That's a normal routine. A person, when they are going to work, they will do that, right? If the wife is sick, the children are sick, big children that is, you know, and there's nobody else there, we ensure that they have everything there for them, and then we will go to work, we will do whatever we have to. So likewise with regards to salah in Jama'ah, you know, not for a small headache that we are just putting some oil or something on a person's head, and therefore we are attending the sick, so we cannot come for salah in Jama'ah. No, it is for serious reasons, my dear respected brothers and sisters. We spoke about if a person is leading salah, then if a person is performing salah, last week we spoke about a person performing salah and then they did not realize and somebody else came and joined them, right? Now, if a person came and he found that 2 people were performing salah, the imam and 1 person was performing salah to the side of him. Now more people come to join this Jama'ah, then Maulana Shaf Ali Tami rahmatullahi alayhi and Behishti Ziwar, he mentions that the muqtadi of that imam, the follower of that imam, he should step back so the other people who are going to come to follow this imam, they will be able to line up behind the imam. If the muqtadi does not move back and the other muqtadi should pull him back. But if the muqtadi is unintentionally stand to the right and the left of the imam and do not pull the first muqtadi back, then in this case the imam should step forward so that all the muqtadis could get together and stand behind him. Similarly, if there is no place to move backwards, it would be the duty of the imam to step forward. But if the muqtadi is unaware of the masail, as generally the case today, then it would not be advisable to move him, because it is possible that he may do something which may break his salah. So, in this case, my dear respected brothers and sisters, as we were speaking about last day, sometimes we are speaking about imam and followers. And we are going to mention, inshallah, in the upcoming session also, different rulings with regards to finding Salah in Jama or Salah in Jama generally, that the fuqaha have stated. Sometimes it is at random, sometimes it may not be connected, but it is all related to Salah in Jama. So here, what has been mentioned, you have the Imam and then you have the Muqtadi standing to the right of the Imam, as we have mentioned. The Imam will be ahead, at least to the heels, and the follower will be either right beside him or behind his heels. Now, somebody else comes to join this Jama. What can be done is that we can hold the person who is following nicely, not rough and pull him back that he falls over. Nicely, just touch him and pull him back, so that now both of us will be standing behind the Imam, right? And in that case, everything will be in order. If the person who comes after just goes to the left of the Imam or goes to the right of this Muqtadi, and now the Imam is just a little ahead of everyone, the Imam should go ahead. This is what Mawlana Ashraf Ali Tanvi rahmatullahi alayhi is saying. So that the Imam will be ahead and the followers will be behind. And if there is no place for the Muqtadis to go behind, come behind, and the Imam realizes that he should take the initiative to go ahead, right? And also what is mentioned in the books of fiqh and in the books of fatwa, there is no problem for the Imam to take a little step ahead, and for the people in the back also to take a little step backward, right? All this is for the rectification of the Salah, but it should also be amalun qalil. It should be, the Imam should not take 4 strides, less than 3 inshallah, maximum 3, right? But the Imam does not, in this case, the Imam would not need to do that, right? The Imam would not need to do that. Just take a little step ahead and inshallah that will be sufficient. We are just talking about what? So that we can get the sunnah tartib. The sunnah tartib. We do not want to do something that would nullify our salah to obtain the sunnah. The sunnah is important, right? The sunnah is important, but the point to be noted here, my dear respected brothers and sisters, we do not want to do something to break our salah to achieve the sunnah, right? So what is being said here, be precautious. We make a little step forward, the people behind can make a little step backward, and everything will be in order inshallah, right? So as that the Imam, he will not be side by side with the Muqtadis, because to do like that, to be side by side with the Imam without an excuse is also makruh, right? It is disliked. The salah will be valid inshallah, but it will be disliked. So we will stop here inshallah, and we will continue next day. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum.